Mike Neal, President and CEO, Tulsa Regional Chamber of Commerce in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, I run an organization with about 75 employees, about a $16 million budget that really encompasses a traditional Chamber of Commerce, an economic development organization, a Convention and Visitors Bureau, a sports commission, a small business development organization, a downtown development group, the largest young professionals organization in America, and a number of other smaller affiliate organizations. A number of different things. Well, economic development is about the jobs and the numbers and the capital investment, but it's far broader than that. It's much more significant than that. It's really about improving the quality of life for the citizens in the city and or the region in which you serve. We happen to serve the Northeast Oklahoma region, some million people, and it's really about providing a better quality of life for these individuals and their families, a place for them to raise a family, a place for them to grow, their kids to grow, and really about providing a quality of life that's world class in small to mid-sized communities across this country. Well, I mean, I've now done this chamber and economic development gig in 3 states and 3 different organizations over 27 years. And it's been amazing to look back in each of those stints, to see projects that you worked, projects that you and your team, the local elected officials and others, worked very aggressively toward, and to look back and say, you know, that's pretty neat. 10, 15, 20 years later, you know, I had a hand in that. And, you know, I built this, or we helped build this industrial park, or we helped build this little, this facility that now there's 15 other facilities surrounding it, and that it's been able to provide just phenomenal quality of life for so many people and their families, but really do a lot to stimulate development in that town and really build progress and build momentum in that particular community. So yeah, it's easy to look back over a 25, 26-year career and see all of these different projects that you worked in the different locales, and to feel really good about the success that it brought to that community. And you get to feel pride that you were part from the very beginning. You were a part of that. You were with that process or that project from its infancy, and now to see the maturity and to see how it's happened and see other spinoffs and other growth that's resulted from that particular initial project. It's very gratifying and very, very satisfying. I had a number of role models, and I think one of the things about this industry that is so impressive is that people will give you the shirt off their back. And most of the time, we really don't find ourselves competing against people in our state, or many times people in our region. So I would say that I was fortunate as a young chamber executive, as a young economic developer, to have a number of people who were 20 and 30 years ahead of me spend countless hours with me, coaching me, advising me, counseling me, and giving me tips. And now, you know, 25 plus years later, it's nice to be able to now to reciprocate and do that for young people. Not just young people that come to work for us, or young people that come to work in our region or in our state, but just young people across this country that are looking to develop their careers, looking to better themselves. And if we can provide just a little bit of impetus for support to help them develop and to help them create and establish a better career and make them a better economic development professional, then that's a wonderful thing for us to be able to repay that debt. You know, I think probably the best piece of advice that I could give an up-and-coming young practitioner is to get involved, is to get engaged, and to try to really make a difference. I mean, there are many times people in your communities that can coach and counsel you, but many times there's not. Many times you're starting in a smaller community, there's no one that's ever done your job before, or maybe no one that's ever done your job successfully before. So you've got to go look beyond the borders of your town or your county, maybe even your region, to look into other parts of the state, or to look into surrounding states, or more importantly, to come to IEDC to find the professionals and to help create a network, not just of your peers, but a network of more seasoned professionals who have been doing this and who can help you. Well, the IEDC organization, I remember when it was AEDC in QED. I got to know Jeff Finkel very well in the very beginning of my career, back when Jeff was running QED before the organizations merged. But I would say the organization has been extremely helpful, not just for me, but for my staff. We constantly have staff, and I and others who are attending programs, who are attending their meetings. We have the opportunity in Tulsa to host the Futures Forum in the summer of 2016. And so, I think being able to go to these events all over the country and to be able to meet our peers and to meet colleagues and to meet representatives from federal agencies and other entities of which we have to do business, the opportunities and the connections that IEDC provides is enormously helpful. I really think it's invaluable. The assistance and the connections. We're in a relationship business. Economic development is a relationship-driven business. And so we have to have relationships. We have to cultivate relationships. And so IEDC does a masterful job of helping facilitate that relationship building, that connectivity, and giving us the opportunity as an individual practitioner in a specific town or in a specific state to make connections with colleagues across this country, and really many instances across the globe. Well, I mean, I think that to be in this business, we all have to be a little bit nutty. We all have to be a little bit crazy. We all have to not like to sleep a whole lot. But I think economic development is about enhancing the quality of life for a community and the community in which you live, a region in which you live. I think the exciting thing to me, and I think to our staff, is being able to start a project from the very beginning, to work with a company, whether it be a small company who is just incubating or just getting started, to watch them grow and add 2 or 3 jobs at a time, or to really recruit and land a significant employer that might bring some 2,500 to 3,500 to 5,000 jobs to your community. It doesn't matter whether it's a 5-job deal or a 100-job or a 1,000-job project. They're all meaningful. They're all significant. They're significant in different ways. And I think we all get gratification from projects of all sizes. And I think it's neat to get to work with a little bitty project, then a much larger project, and then a huge project. Obviously, the huge ones are the ones that draw most of the media attention, draw most of the ink. They're the ones that tend to be the more glamorous. And you love those. You want to have those. But many of these real smaller ones that you've worked, that you help, you support, will ultimately have a huge impact on your community. So I think it's really about working with projects of all sizes and shapes, and with the smallest startup or a local entrepreneur to a big international corporation that's choosing to do a location in one of your communities. I think probably one of the biggest things one of the biggest assets that we as a profession and we as an industry have today that we didn't have 25 or 30 years ago is technology. At the snap of your fingers or the push of a button, we have all kinds of information to learn information about companies, to learn information about demographics or research that in years past would have taken us or members of our staff weeks and months to assimilate and to gather that type of information. And so I think probably the information world is probably the biggest change, at least that I've seen in this period of time. And I would also say as a result of that, quite often we're finding projects that used to take 2 or 3 years to materialize now are coming about and are taking place far quicker. They may be happening in a matter of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months, where in previous times it may have been several years before these things ultimately materialized. We work in organizations, those of us in the economic development business, work in organizations that are sometimes privately funded, sometimes publicly funded, sometimes in the best of both worlds, the one in which I live, you have a public-private partnership. And I think those public-private partnerships are absolutely critical. What is so wonderful to me is for a private sector business organization to be able to partner with local entities, be it local city government, county government, regional or state government, or multiple communities, multiple governments, to be able to work together to establish a vision. I think probably one of the things that we have the greatest opportunity to do is help really facilitate visioning for our individual community or for our region, to do strategic planning work for our city or for our region. And really the critical nature of that strategic planning is that it really sets the course for the future, for the next 5 to 10, 15 to 20 years for your individual community, and to be able to go make very smart strategic decisions today that will have a positive impact on this particular community or this particular region for the next 10 to 15 to 20 years, or really maybe for a decade, is really phenomenally impressive. And it gives you a chance to really achieve significant success and to make a huge difference in your local community. You know, I think in the economic development profession, the chamber profession, I don't think there's any such thing as a dull day. Probably one of the things that's so great about our job, that differentiates our job, our profession from so many others, is that we are constantly doing something different. We don't do the same thing for 2 days in a row. We are constantly faced with some different challenge, some different issue, and we get to work with a different group of people, be they local folks, be they out-of-state folks, be they national or federal folks. And so it's a really fun experience and a unique opportunity to really get to do something different every single day, and to get to do something that makes a significant difference to your local community that impacts the lives of people.